Hi, it's me again, Doreen Moore, and I'm the host of this YouTube channel, Blasian Medley. For today's Blasian Medley meal, I will be making pork chops with an onion gravy over long grain wild rice. Here are the ingredients. I have here 6 pork chops. Now they have been seasoned with a half a teaspoon of cumin, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of chili powder, and a half a teaspoon of Spanish-style paprika. For the wild rice, I have here 2 cups of long-grained wild rice, as well as 2 carrots that have been diced, 2 stalks of celery that have been diced, 1 medium chopped onion, 1 bunch of parsley that has been chopped, 2 sprigs of rosemary, as well as a tablespoon of minced garlic, and 2 bouillon cubes, 2 chicken bouillon cubes for flavoring. I also will be using low salt chicken broth. So let's get started with our pork chops and wild rice. Okay, now the first thing that we want to do is to pan fry our pork chops. Now we're not deep frying our pork chops, hence not having a pan full of oil. I have just put in about a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. What I've also done is dusted our pork chops with flour. So we'll go ahead and pan fry our pork chops. Depending upon the size of your pan, go ahead and put as many pork chops as the pan will allow, but don't crowd it. So it looks like our pan is going to hold about 3 pork chops. So pan fry these until they're brown and do the rest the same way. So after your pork chops have cooked on one side for about 5 to 7 minutes, you can see they've become golden. Go ahead and turn them over and cook them on the other side for the other 5 to 7 minutes. So after your pork chops have cooked on the other side for their 5 to 7 minutes, go ahead and remove them and cook your remaining pork chops. Just like this. And cook these on that side for 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, we're cooking our last 3 pork chops. They have cooked on one side for 5 to 7 minutes and become golden and crispy. So I flipped them over and I'm cooking them for their last 5 to 7 minutes. After we've cooked our last 3 chops, we're going to go ahead and remove them and place them on our dish that is lined with paper towels so they can drain. Okay, so now we're going to begin cooking our wild rice. In the same pan that we used to fry our pork chops, I went ahead and poured out some of the cooking oil because we're only going to need about 2 tablespoons of the cooking oil. We're going to saute all of our vegetables. The first thing we begin with is our tablespoon of minced garlic, as well as our diced medium onion. Go ahead and put all of that in your pan just like that. Saute it until the onions become transparent. After your onions become transparent, add both your celery as well as your carrot. And stir that until both become softened. After your celery and carrots, as well as your onions and garlic, have become softened, we want to go ahead and add our long grain wild rice. So add your rice and stir it with all of the softened veggies. Just like that. After you have stirred all of your softened vegetables with the rice, go ahead and add 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth. Just like that. I'm using a measuring cup in which the top line is 1.5 cups. So, of course, if you know your math, 1.5 plus 1.5 equals 3. Stir that well, and at this time, add your fresh spices. That being your parsley, as well as your sprigs of rosemary. Now, because we will be removing this after the rice has become cooked, you could throw that in whole. Don't forget your chicken bouillon cubes. Stir that, let that cook. Let the rice absorb all of the chicken broth, which will probably be about 20 to 25 minutes with the lid on. After about 10 minutes, remove the lid off of your pan. At this time, if you see that your rice is not quite done, because sometimes the measurements are kind of hard to tell unless you are in the midst of the cooking process. If you see that your rice is not quite done, you can go ahead and add another cup of chicken stock or chicken broth. Stir that well. Let this cook down some more, at which time we will remove the rosemary. But because we added another cup of chicken broth, we're going to let that cook all together until the liquid is again reduced. Okay, after our last 1.5 cups of chicken broth has been added to our long grain wild rice, we can go ahead and check the consistency of our rice. As you can see, it is plumping from absorbing all of that chicken broth, at which time we can go ahead and remove the sprigs of rosemary and turn the heat down so that the rice could then finish the cooking process. Put your lid back on. Now this will probably cook for another 10 to 15 minutes. So here is our finished product of our pork chops in onion gravy over long grain wild rice. Now you're probably wondering why you didn't see the recipe for the gravy. Well, that's something you're going to have to visit the website to see, and you can do that at www.blasianmedley.com. So if you like this recipe or any other Blasian Medley recipe, be certain to like us on Facebook. Visit the website, and don't forget we're on Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. So it looks like the only thing left to do is to enjoy. Enjoy!